the best things about having an at-home test of a vehicle is being able to do things you can't do on a first drive. So what I'm going to do in this video with the Alfa Romeo Tonale is, I'm going to close the garage door and we're going to check out and see what this looks like after dark. I'm Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and let's take a closer look right now. Starting with the exterior of the vehicle, first off, I want to say these LED headlights are really bright. So I'm in my garage, obviously. There are no lights on. I don't have any windows. There really isn't any light creeping in other than, okay, maybe that crack above the door. And this space is really, really well lit, and it all has to do with the headlights right there. So I think these are really well designed, in addition to being bright. And they're very distinctive. They have three little bumps, and you're going to recognize this as an Alfa Romeo if it comes up on you in your rear view mirror. It's very recognizable, and I think it looks pretty cool. So you have your headlight, which is there, and I put on the blinker so that you could see where that shows up over here. So this is really kind of cool, and it's hard to capture this. But the little light, the little tri-bump at the bottom, that turns into your blinker, or your turn indicator. So headlights, daytime running lights, and then your little turn indicator, and also a little LED daytime running light there. So moving around to the side, you can see you have the side indicator on the mirrors, and okay, I'm a sucker for the Italian flag right there. And then moving around to the back, again, you have the very signature tail light with the three bump design. And what I love about these taillights is the depth that the light adds. It's so hard to show this on video, but it's like 1, 2, 3 lights in one. So it just gives this really cool 3D effect on the taillight. And you're going to recognize this as an Alfa Romeo when you are coming up behind it. Now, one thing I'm going to point out, and recently discovered that this was a thing. Apparently, a lot of people want turn indicators to be amber. This is not amber. This is red like the taillight, so I don't know if that's one of the things that bothers you or sets you off, but yeah, this doesn't have the turn indicator that is amber on the back. So finish this out, coming around. If you remember the Dodge variant of this vehicle, there's a light bar that goes across, and then you've got the Dodge Slash. This has the Alfa Romeo logo, and then again, the taillights on this side. So I think that the lighting on the Alfa Romeo Tonale looks really good from the front to the back. The only thing that could be a potential problem is for those people who want turn indicators to be amber on the back. This does not have that. Moving to the interior of the Tonale, I will say that everything here is very well lit as well. And the centerpiece of the interior lighting is going to be this ambient light bar on the dash. So during the day, that really just looks like a piece of aluminum, like an aluminum accent. But at night, I was kind of surprised the first time I drove it in the dark, and it lit up. I think it's kind of cool. So I have the center screen on that you can change your ambient lighting, and you get to that through your vehicle setting, and then you go into your lighting. And there really aren't too many options for colors here, but I think it's enough. I mean, I know some automakers are giving you customized colors and themes and all that, but why go crazy? I mean, you've got the blue, you've got the green, you've got like the silver, yellow, red, maybe if I can get it, red, so you can kind of go with your mood, but because the exterior is blue, I really like the blue theme. And I will say, what you just saw there is actually one of the problems I have with the car, and I know it has nothing to do with looking at this vehicle at night, but I do want to point out that I feel like the things on the screen are really small to touch, and I have small hands, and if I'm having a hard time hitting them and getting them to react, to me, that's a bit of a problem. So not anything to do with seeing this in the dark, but just one of those things that I noticed that is a problem for me, and one of the problems I have with putting all of your controls on the screen. But all right, I I digress. So let's go back to looking at the rest of the vehicle at night. I'm going to go ahead and we'll hit the CarPlay button. We'll do this. So you have a placement to see the screen and how bright it is, and I think it looks really good. I think that they did a great job with putting the key items that you want to see and highlighting them so that you're never going to fumble around in the dark and try and hit something that you meant to hit or didn't mean to hit by mistake. So looking at the digital screen, I feel like that's really well lit. It's not super customized, but I do like the fact that, you know, when you change your drive modes from DNA, the screen changes up a little bit. So we're in A right now, it moves to N, and then you've got dynamic, and so things kind of change through as you scroll through. You also get a graphic on the screen that shows, again, what mode you are in. So good graphics in the dark. I like how it looks. It's good graphics in the light as well. So again, very well lit on the steering wheel, on the door panels. Anything that you think that you might have to touch is outlined or lit, including your USB-C and USB-A ports. If you need to plug in at night, that is going to be very visible. You're not gonna wonder where those are. There are some cars still out there today that don't do that, and I find that to be a little bit silly. Another thing that I will point out that I like, my husband didn't like this, but I liked it. You've got some LED lights right here. These don't turn off. These stay on in the dark, and they point down to your cup holders. So you're not going to be fumbling to see, I mean, you're probably not going to be fumbling anyway, but if you have something sitting in here, like a key or your phone or something in the cup holders, that light is shining down on there, so it's going to be really easy to see even at night. So other than this light bar and the buttons and dials that are outlined, there really isn't a lot of ambient light going on. I'll be honest. You do get a little bit of light in the footwell. You can see down here, you know, my shoes are kind of lit up, but other than that, it's pretty simple, and I appreciate the simplicity of it. I think it looks really good. All right, before I close out this review, I want to do a couple of driving impressions that have nothing to do with lighting. And first off, I want to say that this is a pretty smooth vehicle. I've really enjoyed driving this in the city because of the 31 miles of all-electric range. It's fast, it's peppy, it is really, really quiet. I took this on a road trip to Indianapolis, so I did about 400 miles of highway driving, and it did really well in that also. I thought it was comfortable, I thought it maneuvered really well, and when the engine turned on and off, you know, after it flipped over into hybrid mode, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't really tell when the engine was on or off. It was quiet, and it didn't give a, you know, like a big stutter or anything like that. I thought it did really well. Now, there are some of my colleagues out there who will say that this is, you know, crappy powertrain and they didn't like it, and you know, it's not an Alfa Romeo, blah, 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 blah. And okay, it's not an Alfa Romeo. I will totally give them that one, but I think the powertrain is really good. I just also happen to be a really huge fan of a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. And I think that Alfa Romeo does it really, really well. So in terms of fuel economy, keep in mind, I've driven about 500 miles. 400 of those miles were in highway driving. I'm looking at the little information gauge here, and I'm currently getting about 35.1 miles per gallon, and I've driven 152.4 miles in electric. So I think for somebody who takes an occasional road trip, who does a lot of tooling around the city, this makes a lot of sense. The gas tank is a little small. When I was at 3/4 of a tank, I put 7 gallons of gas in, and it was full. So the gas tank is a little small. It's really dependent upon you using this electric range. If you're just gonna buy this and you're not gonna plug it in, don't do it. Go buy the Dodge Hornet, which is a gasoline vehicle built on this platform. But if you are actually going to use the electric range, this makes a lot of sense. I'm getting 35.1 miles per gallon, and that's only because I did 400 miles of city or of highway driving.
if I'd done more city driving, this would be a lot higher. Before I took my highway excursion, I was at 72 miles per gallon. So I like how this drives. I will say the steering is a little bit loose, unless you put it in dynamic mode, which puts it in gas mode. But overall, this is just a comfortable vehicle. The seats are a little bit firm, and I will say after 3 hours, you're going to feel it. But I like it. Is it an Alfa Romeo? It is not an Alfa Romeo. Does it sound like an Alfa Romeo? It doesn't sound like an Alfa Romeo. Are you going to miss the Alfa Romeo-ness in this vehicle? Maybe. If you're an Alfa Romeo fan, yes, you will. If you've never driven an Alfa Romeo before, no, you won't. That's about all I want to say about that. So, thanks for watching today. Thanks for checking out the lighting on the Alfa Romeo Tonale. And check us out on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com. And I will see you down the road.